But where I get most of it, bro, to be honest with you, is I'm honestly sacrificing part of myself for this cause. I read in the sewer every day, in the
Yeah.
information sewer for all of us so that I can convey it. I go to CNN, I go to Yahoo, I
Oh,
go to
I can't
Fox
do it.
News.
I
Those are my primary three.
really.
Yeah.
So
So CNN.
you're just going there and finding something to shit on.
Well, no, because I'm not heading out there just to like rage about things. The reason I want to do that is I want to know what is our populace being pummeled with? What
Yeah.
is in everybody's psyche today? Because I'm always about this Truman Show, right? And it's this apparatus that is blasting information at everyone. I've used the term before. The mass media era we're in is now like 24-hour IV in the arm media information. The
Yeah.
story I just told you. Every second, I'm taking a crap in my bathroom. I'm hitting that home button. I'm reading. So
Yeah.
there's this connection of information blast at you at almost every minute of every day. And I'm convinced there are a lot of Americans who are living in a full world of media presentation that doesn't necessarily match reality anymore.
I just had dinner with some family members who were visiting, and like we were talking a bit about the transgender thing, and I was like, you realize they're doing surgeries on 12-year-old girls, removing their breasts, and it's like major clinics and this and that, and they're like, no, no, like, like, no,
Right.
really. And then they believe me and they're like, and it's like
Yep.
watching them wrap their heads around that they've got to square away their political position with the fact that this is
Exactly.
happening. And
Yes.
it's like, do you
Creepy.
think that people should be doing that? It's like, well, it should be up to the family. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I
Right.
blew me
Dude,
away.
and the problem is that's across, excuse me, so many topics. Just the other day, um, I wonder if these stories will now make it back to my real world as I start to tell them. The other day, I was sitting with my father-in-law, who is from the New York area, and he's actually a very sharp man who reads and stuff. So
Mhm.
he's no dummy who's like siloed, but he
Yeah.
reads from the same sources. It's like
Yeah.
the New York newspapers. It's Colbert at night. It's the
Yep.
morning show. It's the same things. But anyways, so he came down to visit, and I had just come home from work, and I'm standing in the kitchen, and he's watching CNN, and it's an Anderson Cooper show, and they're just starting the show, and he intros the show on Hunter Biden's laptop.
Yeah.
But the way he intros the show was like it's real, like that
Yeah.
they've now confirmed. It must have been the day that like sort of the establishment accepted and announced, yeah, we agree the content was real.
Right. The
So
memo went out.
the memo went out, dude. So he's introducing this segment of, yeah, the contents have been proven and verified, confirmed they're real, and da da da. And man, my jaw kind of hit the floor because I've spent so much time listening to that being avoided. So I
It
kind
was
of put down
amazing.
what I was doing and I turned and I started staring at the TV and I'm just watching the piece for a minute. And they had some lady on. I wish I knew who she was, some intelligence expert. I'm sure she worked in the machine at some point. And dude, they're talking about like who's admitting that it's real and the fact that it's real. They kind of glaze over that quickly. And then they go into ways that the Democrats are basically chipping away at it. They're looking at where was the information, like where was the possession chain? Who had it? Where did it come from? Who's had it
Right.
since? Could the information be manipulated? The digital, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
Then they shift over to the congressional hearings. Republicans are going to, turning this into a culture war issue and blah, blah, blah. And they want to blah, blah, blah. And dude, it had been 15 minutes. I'm now standing there watching this and the light bulb went off. They hadn't said one word about what's on the laptop, right?
Yeah.
So I turned to my father-in-law and I said, now let me back up and say, we don't talk politics, not because we've had some big blowout, but because we're just in different worlds. And when we talk politics, it doesn't head anywhere positive. And I love the man and he loves me. So we just don't do it. So I was hesitant to even make this comment, but I said to him, I said, it's amazing to hear that story because we heard for so long that that was fake. And I said, but have you noticed there's something missing from the coverage? And he didn't really pick it up. And I said, they haven't mentioned anything that's actually on the laptop.
Yeah.
Like what's on the laptop? And he kind of looked at me a little confused. And the last thing I said to him, I said, wouldn't it be our reporter's job to tell us what's on the laptop? Like what's actually the meat and potatoes of the story, not reasons why we shouldn't believe it or the reasons are going to spin it away. And dude, the reason I'm telling you this long story is he looks at me with this almost lost puppy dog look and goes, yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
And then kind of goes back to the TV staring at it. And I just sort of walked away and it was like, fuck, man. Like it was the same thing you just described. It was the head exploded. And he's having to pair that with, well, if I accept that's true and they lied to me, like, are we not the good guys?
Yeah.
Are we the baddies? Right? The cop thing. Are we the baddies? I mean, it's like, dude.
Yeah. And that's, and I get angry sometimes when like I have these discussions and, I don't always, and it's like, but when I'm calmed down and I remind myself sometimes it's like, look, Jeff, what you're asking everybody to do here is to rewrite their entire worldview based upon the arguments that you're making, and that's damn near impossible.
Damn. Wow, that's powerfully phrased. Kind of
It,
sobering to hear you say it that way, because you're right. Because you're
it is.
absolutely right.
It is. It's like you're really asking people to unwind, and in some cases, 30, 40, 50 years of a way of understanding the world that you're suggesting. By the way, that's not true.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. And you can even boil it down to the more micro level and look at like COVID.
Yeah.
Somebody who's been bathing in the misinformation. The irony that we were talking to, that we were the disinformation, medical misinformation, mal.
Yeah.
It turns out we were right. It's just crazy.
Yeah.
But if you've been bathing in that for so much and now you're being asked to sort of snap out of it, it's the old school fortified down on priors, right? That term,
Yes.
priors. He can't give up his priors. Like,
That's
think
right.
of the level of priors on COVID. And it's hard for people to walk away from that. And I really struggled with what you just described in the beginning, because I was so into this. Like, I don't mean I was better. I just mean I dove into it so hardcore that I really understood the nuts and bolts. I realized how badly we were getting screwed. And when I would see this blind anger and rabid rage from people, and Howard Stern, Rex Chapman, all these people talking to us like we're abhorrent filth. And I wanted to rage at people like, you, right? And in the early stages, I had a very difficult time with that, because how am I to do that? Why? Let me see if I can phrase this the right way, because I think it's important. Let me put myself in their shoes. And they're being told what I'm saying is false. They're being told a totally different story by their president, Walensky, Fauci, Hotez, ABC, CBS, NBC, MSNBC, CNN, every media outlet, all of our cultural channels, our entertainers, our scientists, our medical institutions, Lancet, everything. So who's telling them the other side, Jeffrey? You on your show, me, a rando on Twitter? So like, it's almost like, how could I expect them to believe anything else, right?
It's in a way, you look at it, it's like, from their perspective, it's like, wow, Theo, that's
you
such
are
amazing
dumbass.
Hubris on your part.
Right.
Look at what you're right. And I get it. And it, like, from my perspective, on the other hand, it's like, I will not disbelieve my own eyes. I will not tell you that the sky is purple when I see that it's blue.